The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Tuesday, April 28th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine this morning, clouds this afternoon, high 64. And then tonight and overnight, clouds hang around, low 50. Wednesday, mostly cloudy, high 60. If you're walking out the door with us right now, 44 and clear in Babylon out on Long Island, 44 partly cloudy in Edison over in New Jersey, and it's 46 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
A wild scene outside a New Jersey laundromat. The Dillers get the last word as cop killer is finally sentenced. We'll find out today what Mayor Mamdani's endorsement is worth. Dog owners beware, someone's putting rat pellets out in Brooklyn. And a local college has a plan to speed up graduation that has students pretty upset. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. Let's go up to the Bronx where there was a powerful explosion. A fire tore through a 6-story building under construction. This is the Longwood section of the borough last night. Sent thick smoke billowing into the air. Neighbors running in the streets. They didn't know what the explosion was about. Firefighters racing to Reverend James Polite Avenue, pouring water to put these flames out. Paramedics were staged nearby. Thankfully, nobody in the building, but neighbors wanted to know what that explosion was.
It sounded like a bomb. It woke me up. I ran straight to my window. I saw people outside with their hands over their heads running.
Those neighbors speaking to News 12. Another resident said the force of the explosion shook nearby buildings.
The way the whole building shook, it's either you're thinking it's a bomb or something else. Thinking of the kids and then running for my life.
Yeah, the cause of that fire, cause of the explosion under investigation this morning. A man critical after a shooting on board a subway in Queens last night.
It happened on a Manhattan-bound A train just after 6 p.m. as the train approached the 80th Street station in Ozone Park. A man believed to be in his 20s shot in the torso. He was taken to Jamaica Hospital. 2 persons of interest are reportedly being questioned. Reports say the suspects are 3 teens. The investigation causing massive A-line delays Monday night. In New York, I'm Andrew Whitman.
And we can update Andrew's story. The person shot last night was a teenager, a 15-year-old. And coming up after 5:30, we'll hear from some eyewitnesses on that subway car who ducked and ran for cover. 5:02, one woman was killed after 2 cars smashed into a laundromat in Newark yesterday. Essex County officials say a pickup truck hit a parked vehicle outside the Ivy Hill laundromat, Irvington Avenue, causing both cars to crash into the front of the business.
I literally thought it was a gas explosion because it was so loud. There was one worker here. She was at the front, and she actually got propelled towards the back.
And my heart just dropped because I seen the lady laying on the ground when I was coming out.
Yeah, there was a woman who was seated at a table right near the front of the laundromat. She was the one that was hit and killed, pronounced dead at the scene. A customer said he had seen 2 men drinking earlier in the parking lot. Police investigating that.
When I parked there, I see that the truck driver back there was drinking, having fun. Then I left. All of a sudden, I came back again. I see this.
So you can imagine these 2 vehicles plowing into the front of the laundromat. One of them was a white SUV, the second vehicle that was hit by the truck. The owner of that car was in the laundromat, and she couldn't figure out what was going on when that SUV came through the glass window.
People are just flying through the parking lot without any regard for who's crossing it. So even though it's heartbreaking, I'm not surprised.
The cause of the crash under investigation. Essex County Prosecutor's Office telling us late last night that they are looking had to file charges, but they haven't just yet. 504. While we're in New Jersey, Congressman Tom Kean, who's been missing from Congress for weeks now, thanking his constituents yesterday and colleagues for their patience as he says he addresses a personal medical issue.
Kean posted a statement on X Monday after a week of speculation about his whereabouts. He's missed more than 24 roll call votes since early March, with his spokesperson finally telling news reporters a few days ago that his boss was dealing with a personal health matter. While the 57-year-old Republican's post echoes that and provides no insights into a specific illness, Kean did say his doctors have assured him he'll make a complete recovery, also saying he expects to return to a full schedule and be at 100%, but no time frame given. I'm Sarah Lee Kessler.
505, let's go out to Queens, where the New York City man who shot and killed a cop in Queens back in 2024 sentenced yesterday 115 years to in prison, a life in prison. Guy Rivera, convicted earlier this month of manslaughter, attempted murder in the murder of Jonathan Diller during a Far Rockaway traffic stop. Here was the assistant DA speaking out before the sentencing yesterday.
Well, Jonathan left his family with the intent to protect and serve the community. This defendant chose to leave his apartment fully prepared to inflict harm and violence on the same community.
Then we heard from the family member, Stephanie Diller, Jonathan's widow, delivered an emotional statement denouncing Guy Rivera for the senseless shooting of her husband as dozens of New York's finest filled the courtroom yesterday.
I did not get to be there when his life ended. I did not get to hold his hand. I did not get to say goodbye. I did not get to give him the love and the peace he deserved in his final moments. The person who lost the most is our son, Ryan. He will grow up without his father. He will miss the guidance, the protection, and the love that Jonathan would have given him every single day.
It was tough to watch this tape this morning. Then Jonathan's mother, she stood up and spoke as well.
For 31 years, I had the privilege and honor of being Jonathan's mother before my youngest child was so senselessly and cruelly taken from me.
And then Judge Michael Eloise threw the book at the 36-year-old Long Island City man after hearing those victim impact statements from Diller's widow, his mother, stepmother, partner. 115 years he got. Here's DA Melinda Katz.
There was not a conviction of first-degree murder, but at the end of the day, 115 years to life in jail means that there is justice for the Diller family.
And the head of the PBA, Patrick Hendry, he agreed with that.
This sentence, it sent the right message. He should never, ever walk the streets again, and he won't.
Yeah, thank God for that. WABC News Time, 5:08, down to D.C., where Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche says the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner Saturday night was an act of violence against a symbolic American event.
Violence has no place in civic life. It cannot and will not be used to disrupt democratic institutions or intimidate those who serve them, and it certainly cannot continue to be used against the President of the United States.
Blanche telling reporters yesterday that the gunman, Cole Allen, was stopped inside the Hilton Hotel because of the courage of the officers that were there. Blanche says the suspect from Torrance, California, shot a Secret Service agent who was wearing a bulletproof vest. In Allen's manifesto, he referred to himself as the friendly federal assassin and detailed plans to target President Trump and members of his cabinet.
They did exactly what they are trained to do. This was not an accident. It was the result, as we know now, of preparation.
That was him praising the police officers, Secret Service agents, FBI. United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, Janine Pirro, she commented on the suspect's intentions.
This was an attempted assassination of the President of the United States, with the defendant making clear what his intent was. And that intent was to bring down as many of the high-ranking cabinet officials as he could.
Allen faces 3 charges, including an attempt to assassinate the president of the U.S. It was interesting. I saw Rudy Giuliani was tweeting this out yesterday. He says, thank God, of course, the president was not harmed. But he did point out something that I didn't think about. He said, what if Alan Cole had bombs in his hand and was throwing bombs all around instead of a gun? He said, what would have happened then? I thought it was an excellent question, something I had not thought about. Meanwhile, White House might be looking to beef up President Trump's protection following that assassination attempt. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt confirmed that the White House Chief of Staff is meeting with the Secret Service about Trump's protection.
The American people should be assured there is no higher priority for the president and his staff than the president's safety.
And then Leavitt said that the president was pleased with how the Secret Service handled the situation at the dinner on Saturday night, but they're always looking for ways to improve protection around him.
There were several members of the cabinet in the line of succession who did not attend for various personal reasons. So designating one survivor was not necessary, as we had several members who were not there already. The Secret Service did their jobs well. They communicated with one another to remove the president and the vice president to safety as quickly as they could, and obviously to neutralize the shooter as well. And thank God they did, because if that man was allowed into that ballroom, it would have been a much different scene.
It's pretty clear what the motive was, but no one's taking any chances in prosecuting this case. So there were FBI agents, investigators outside Cole Allen's home in Torrance, California yesterday, talking to neighbors.
They come by and ask questions if I knew him, and I'm like, no, I seen him once, and that was probably about it.
Yeah, so voter registration records show Allen's parents owned that house. More from the FBI agents who went door to door talking to neighbors. Here's what they said.
I mean, he seemed like a friendly enough guy. I mean, he was just kind of a normal guy, you know. I mean, like, just average person. You wouldn't expect anything from him. It was unbelievable to me. I never would have expected that in my life.
It's a very quiet neighborhood. Boy, this is the old part of Torrance. You know, small streets, good neighbors, old houses. Yeah, very good area.
Everybody says it don't happen in your neighborhood, but it happens in everybody's neighborhood. It's going to happen no matter where you're at.
He's right about that. And then Mentalist Oz Perlman, he was supposed to be the entertainment on Saturday night. He was relaying the chaos of the moment on Saturday.
That's the only moment where the full fear of this hit me of, oh no, like, are we going to die?
Of course, like everybody else, he's thankful for the job the Secret Service, local police did.
And I think that's when the fear really hit me, because I just said this wasn't a dress rehearsal. Oh my God, is there a bomb in here? That's the first thing I thought. I didn't really think shooter because I hadn't heard any noises. That was a huge win. This could have been a massive tragedy. No one was killed. It was, I want to thank them tremendously.
Now, if he's a mentalist, shouldn't he have known the shooting was going to happen? Warned the Secret Service and the president ahead of time? Congressman Ro Khanna, he now wants to create a bipartisan commission on political violence after the shooting.
We should look at social media. We should look at mental health issues. We should look at language, but we need to do something to bring the temperature down.
We always talk about that. Nothing gets done. 5:13. U.S. Coast Guard teams have suspended their search for a cruise ship crew member who went overboard Sunday in the Atlantic off Wellfleet, Massachusetts. Jennifer Trigger, who is a passenger on board this Norwegian breakaway, says the situation has just been heartbreaking.
I feel bad for the crew because they lost someone who was a friend and a colleague.
Coast Guard was notified after a security camera on the ship recorded the incident. The ship launched rescue boats, joined the Coast Guard. This was about 1 a.m. Sunday to begin a search, also by air and water.
They did what they were supposed to do, and they did the best that they could to try to rescue their crew member, and I just wish that their communication on the other side had been better.
Yeah, they were trying to reassure cruise passengers that everything was going to be okay.
They called a code Oscar, which kind of woke us up when we were on the ship.
Everything was getting crowded because of the delay. Everyone, obviously it's a big delay. Everyone wants to get off the boat.
Yeah, and according to reports, the search was suspended about 12:30 yesterday afternoon after what they called pending new information, but we haven't given any more details. And then a woman has died after she allegedly fell from her room's balcony Monday onto the deck below while aboard a Carnival cruise ship. This was right near Catalina Island in California. Carnival crew members were reportedly alerted to the incident by the woman's family, who she was traveling with. The ship docked at the Long Beach cruise terminal, and they say an investigation is underway. All right, 5:15. Let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Good morning, Justin L.A.
Good morning to you, Noam Layden. Start here on the diamond out in Arlington. Aaron Judge and Ben Rice had the first back-to-back homers for the Yankees this season, and Jazz Chisholm Jr. also went deep as AL Best New York beat the Texas Rangers 4-2 in the opener of a 3-game set. Judge matched the big league lead with his 11th homer. Not anymore, actually. Chicago White Sox slugger has 12, but he did hit his 11th last night, making it 3-0 with 2 outs in the 3rd inning. That came right after Ben Rice's 10th homer, his 6th in 11 games. They became the second pair of Yankees teammates to each have 10 or more homers in the first 29 games, joining Mickey Mantle and Yogi Berra in 1956. Max Fried scattered 4 singles over 6 scoreless innings, pitching out of the stretch as the Yankees got their 10th win in 12 games. Fried has allowed no runs in 4 of 7 starts, going at least 6 innings in each of those scoreless outings. David Bednar, the third reliever, allowed an unearned run in the 9th while getting his 8th save in 9 chances. Up next for the Yankees, Cam Stoltler will get the start in tonight's middle game against Jacob deGrom. You remember him. First pitch from Arlington is scheduled for 8:05 p.m. Also tonight, Mets, they'll open a 3-game series at home at Citi Field against the visiting Washington Nationals. First pitch there, 7:10 p.m. Clay Holmes will get the start against Washington's Zach Littell. And head to the NBA. Look ahead to tonight at 8 p.m. The Knicks, they're back in action at Madison Square Garden. Game 5 against the Atlanta Hawks. The series knotted at 2 games apiece, and our Knicks are 6.5-point favorites at home heading in. Last night on the hardwood, your final from Orlando. The Magic beating the Pistons 94-88. Orlando now leading that series 3-1. Out in Phoenix, the Thunder beat the Suns 131-122. So OKC sweeps that series 4-0. They'll play the winner of the Lakers versus Rockets series.
Nobody's stopping them, are they?
Oh my God, they're good. I mean, They just ran roughshod through the Suns, dominated that series, and in terms of the Lakers and or I should say the Rockets. No, I don't think I do.
133 points. I mean, that's like going back to scores that we saw in the NBA, like in the 80s and the 90s, where offense was king.
Right, 131, but close.
31, yeah. Still, you don't see games like that anymore.
No, of course not. I mean, the Phoenix was just overmatched this whole series. I mean, listen, they kept it within 9, 131-122, so they put up a good offensive effort in their own right, but just couldn't stop OKC on defense. And out in Denver, the Timberwolves, they beat the Nuggets 113-125 in Game 5 in that Western Conference series, so Minnesota leads that series 3-2. That is your Sports Know, and I'm Justin Hull on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time, 5:19. Let's start over in Iran. The White House confirming President Trump has met with his security team yesterday to discuss Iran's latest proposal.
The proposal was being discussed. I don't want to get ahead of the president or his national security team. What I will reiterate is that the president's red lines with respect to Iran have been made very, very clear.
Now, Iran proposed to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports to be lifted simultaneously. Discussions, they say, about Iran's nuclear ambitions would take place at a later date, only after the blockade has ended. So more from Press Secretary Caroline Levin, whether the White House is even considering this.
There was a discussion this morning that I don't want to get ahead of, and you'll hear directly from the president, I'm sure, on this topic very soon.
Yeah, dozens of nations have called for the urgent and reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. In fact, the UN chief is warning that the U.S.-Iran standoff in the waterway is risking triggering a global food emergency because nothing can get out of there. Hundreds of Google employees say they want the company to use its AI power for good, and they say that does not include a deal with the Pentagon.
More than 600 people who work at Google DeepMind and Cloud have signed a letter to the company's CEO saying they don't want the company's AI technology used by the U.S. military for classified operations. That would include weapons and surveillance. In the letter, they say they want to see AI benefit humanity, and the only way to ensure it's not used in a harmful way is to avoid classified projects where there's little to no oversight. Google and the Department of Defense are reportedly in contract talks. I'm Jason Nathanson.
521. King Charles, Queen Camilla arriving in the U.S. yesterday. The UK royals couple is here. 6-day trip that began with tea at the White House with the President and the First Lady. King Charles expected to address both chambers of Congress today and then come here to the big city on Wednesday.
The King and Queen slated to be in New York City Wednesday. In Manhattan, they will attend a ceremony at the 9/11 Memorial, meet with 9/11 victim families, and New York first responders. The couple also expected to meet Mayor Zoran Mamdani. Charles and Camilla are not planning to meet with Jeffrey Epstein victims. While some have called for such a meeting, Buckingham Palace has acknowledged concern given Charles's brother, the former Prince Andrew, is under investigation in the UK over his ties to the late convicted sex offender. Andrew has since been stripped of his royal titles. In New York, I'm Liz Warner.
Seems every state is redrawing their state congressional district. Texas, California, Virginia, now Florida, the next one. Governor Ron DeSantis rolling out his plan to redraw the state's congressional districts by releasing to Fox News yesterday the map that would be considered in this week's special legislative session down in the Sunshine State. Equal Ground is a group that is against this plan, and they say they'll be in Tallahassee today to tell the governor they don't think this plan is fair.
We have buses coming from Central Florida, North Florida, as well as the Tampa Bay region. And so we're excited to greet whoever is there because we know that they carry the stories and the voices of thousands and millions more Floridians who don't want their maps to be drawn mid-decade.
Governor doesn't care. He said they'll get it done. His proposed map makes 4 more districts Republican leaning. It leaves only 4 for Democrats. 3 of them are in South Florida. 1's in Central Florida.
And we just simply want them to know that any attempt to redraw maps mid-decade is a violation of our Constitution, and they should listen to the will of the voters. To do so, again, mid-decade without new numbers, new data, is just a clear violation of the Fair District Amendments, and we hope that at the end of the day, matters to the people who will be pushing this unprecedented plan forward.
But Governor DeSantis claims his new map is more accurate representation of the state that's changed since the 2020 census. From Florida over to Texas, where a state-led investigation into last year's fatal flooding in the Texas Hill Country indicates Camp Mystic was set up for failure. It found that the littlest kids were in cabins that were led by first-year counselors who received no disaster training.
Every single person that I've spoken with, former counselors, current counselors, there was never any real training.
Investigator Casey Garrett spoke with a camper who was evacuated during a flood at that same camp back in the 1980s. She said the methods from last year seemed to be unchanged from then. You'll remember a total of 27 kids and counselors were killed last summer when a wall of water rushed through camp.
There were never drills, no drills of any kind. Look at what we do in schools with tornado drills and fire drills and active shooter drills. I mean, it's just unthinkable that these girls would have no training.
And that's why so many want to keep that camp closed this summer. 524, Kentucky Derby horses preparing for this Saturday's run for the Roses. Paul Miles is at Churchill Downs and reports on the favorite in the race.
Renegade leaves Barn 39, headed for the Churchill Downs track for a Monday morning gallop.
Seemed to be on his toes. There's a pretty decent crowd on the other side there that seemed to, he's probably not used to gallop in front of a crowd like that. So he was on his toes.
2-time Derby-winning trainer Todd Pletcher will saddle Renegade, who will break from the number 1 post position closest to the rail.
And I've said it oftentimes, sometimes you get good trips from bad post positions and bad trips from good post positions, so we'll see what happens.
Renegade will be ridden by jockey Irad Ortiz, who is seeking his first Derby victory. At Churchill Downs, I'm Paul Miles.
New York Giants Hall of Fame linebacker Lawrence Taylor has been hospitalized for a stomach-related issue that a representative of his says does not appear to be life-threatening, but he's been in the hospital for a while. In a statement released yesterday by his lawyer, that Taylor authorized to let people know, his fans know, that the 67-year-old's been in the hospital for a little over a week. No discharge date has been determined. They say he remains under the medical observation combination of doctors showing signs of improvement. They give us a whole lot of details about what's going on with him. Of course, Taylor spent his entire 13-season NFL career with the Giants, helping them win the Super Bowl 2 separate times. WABC News Time, 5:26. One more sports story. Remember Pat Riley? He is still the president of the Miami Heat. He says he's not going to go anywhere. And why that's a great story is, you know how old he is now? He's 81 years old.
I'm not going to retire. I'm not going to resign. I'm not going to step aside.
Good for him. In his State of the Heat postseason wrap-up yesterday, he says he plans to improve the team through developing younger players, making smart trades rather than through free agency or losing enough games to get a high draft pick. And he says, despite his age, he's staying on as team president.
I'm not going to change. I'm not going to try to lose. I'm not going to tank. And I can't stand the word.
Yeah, sounds great.
I'm disappointed. Disgruntled, just like everybody else in the organization.
And so far, the team seems to want him to stay exactly where he is as the president of the Miami Heat.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Tuesday, April 28th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine this morning, some clouds this afternoon, high 64. Tonight and overnight, the clouds, they hang around, low 50. And then Wednesday, it'll be a mostly cloudy day, high 60. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are, 44 clear in Babylon, out on Long Island. 44 and partly cloudy in Edison, over in New Jersey. And it's 46 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time, 5:39. It is kind of a big election today because there's some drama and intrigue and just what's a city council race. Of course, Manhattan voters from the Village to Hell's Kitchen going to head to the polls today to select a new city council member. The special election fills the seat that was vacated in Manhattan District 3. It is home to several historical sites in the gay rights movement, including the Stonewall Inn. In recent years, the district has been always represented by a member of the LGBTQ community. And the gay candidate in the race this time around is Carl Wilson, who hopes to continue that tradition. He has the support of Council Speaker Julie Menon, but not the support of Mayor Mamdani. Here he is.
I am the LGBT candidate in the race. I think that's an important perspective. I've been in the district working block by block, helping folks solve problems for nearly a decade.
Okay, so we'll find out what clout Julie Menon has or how much clout Mayor Mamdani has, because he surprised a lot of political observers when he did not endorse Carl Wilson. In fact, he endorsed Lindsey Boylan. She's straight, if that matters. And she is accused was the one who accused former governor, one of the many women, of sexual harassment. And she was very happy to get the mayor's endorsement. She's a Democratic socialist, just like the mayor.
It's kind of hard to believe when you've seen someone do such incredible things for the city that they're coming and supporting you. And so I'm really honored that we're now at a moment where he wants to accomplish a lot. And he knows that city council is key to that. And he does know that I'm a fighter and that I believe in all the things that he's trying to do for the city.
Now, there are 4 candidates in the race, but everybody expects it'll be between these two, Lindsey Boylan and Carl Wilson. Here's more from Boylan.
They need to know if I'm going to stand up for them, no matter what. They need to know if I'm going to make hard choices. I do think that my joining city council as the 25th member of the Progressive Caucus will be incredibly helpful to moving a lot of the things we all believe in forward.
It'll be interesting to see how many people come out for what's just a weird race in the middle of April. 5:42, a teenager rushed to the hospital last night after being shot on a subway car in Queens. Police say 15-year-old boy shot multiple times, Manhattan-bound A train near the 80th Street station. This was about about 6 o'clock or so. The gunfire during the evening commute. Packed trains sent passengers ducking to the floor of this train when they heard bullets fly. Here's one witness who said it was really frightening. They could not wait for the doors to open so people could get off the car.
This pandemonium, everybody just took off running, man, including the two guys, the teenagers they were fighting. We all jumped onto the floor and stayed below, and the doorman opened the doors up, man, and some people ran out, man, but I stayed below, and some people say saw the guys who did it and identify the police how they look.
It's every Straphanger's worst nightmare. The 15-year-old victim shot at least one time in the chest. Officers were the one who rushed him to Jamaica Hospital in an NYPD vehicle. We're being told he's in stable condition this morning. Queens DA Melinda Katz raced over to the scene to see what had taken place.
Anytime there's a shooting on a train, it is a tragedy for the city of New York. And so we hope to get many more of these weapons off of the street and out of the hands of our young people.
The amazing part is, thank God, nobody else was hit by the bullets or hurt in the scramble to get off that subway car last night. 5:43. Mayor Mamdani wants public bus rides to be free. Remember, that was one of his campaign promises. But the MTA is doing something that'll make sure they're not free.
Since the buses aren't fare-free yet and won't be anytime soon, the MTA is sending fare checkers onto city buses. The checkers are members of the MTA's Eagle team. That's the agency's Evasion and Graffiti Lawlessness Eradication Unit. Armed with handheld devices, Eagle team members are now catching buses to catch any riders who don't show proof of payment. Their devices should help them keep track of people who've paid their fares using the Omni Tap to Ride system. And since Metro cards and cash have now been phased out, that should cover all riders except those who haven't paid. In New York, I'm Andrew Whitman.
What is it, like 60% of bus riders in one of those surveys found that they weren't paying fare? Up in the Bronx, the numbers were even higher. Mayor Mamdani, Governor Hochul announcing free World Cup fan events in Westchester, Long Island, Buffalo, and here in New York City. In fact, they were at John Katsimatidis, the owner of the Ferry Hawks, at his stadium out in Staten Island yesterday to make this announcement.
Every fan should be able to watch the greatest tournament on earth without having to dip into their savings.
Affordability is a major challenge, so now the state is committing $20 million to support free World Cup fan fests in all 5 boroughs.
If you can't get to the World Cup is coming to you.
Governor Hochul says here's another perk, a one-day World Cup permit.
Cutting the red tape so bars and restaurants across the state can host outdoor watch parties and fan activations throughout the tournament.
With hours extended to 4 a.m., I'm Sarah Lee Kessler.
In a moment, we'll go out to New Jersey where a kid thought it was a good idea to bring a gun to class. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Here's Justin Ella.
Not allowed to bring a gun to class?
Well, maybe like a water gun, but not a real one. No.
Oh, okay.
Even a water gun, they probably don't let you do that anymore, do they?
Well, I appreciate the confirmation on that.
Do you think I need to let people know that it's not a smart idea to bring a gun?
No, obviously you shouldn't be bringing a gun to class, let alone a water gun, to be honest with you. You know, I mean, even those were... I know a lot of these high schools play that Assassin's game.
Oh, I remember playing
that.
They still do that? Jeez.
Yeah, I think so. Wow. Something for the seniors to do while they're not going to class. Sports start out in Arlington. Aaron Judge and Ben Rice had the first back-to-back homers for the Yankees this season. Jazz Chisholm Jr. also went deep as AL Best New York beat the Texas Rangers 4-2 in the opener of a 3-game set. Judge made it 3-0 with 2 outs in the third. That homer came right after Ben Rice's 10th homer, his 6th in 11 games. They became the second pair of Yankees teammates to each have 10 or more homers in the first 29 games, joining Mickey Mantle and Yogi Berra in 1956. Max Fried scattered 4 singles over 6 scoreless innings pitching out of the stretch, I should say, as the Yankees got their 10th win in 12 games. Fried has allowed no runs in 4 of 7 starts, going at least 6 innings in each of those scoreless outings. David Bednar, third reliever, allowed an unearned run in the 9th while getting his 8th save in 9 chances. Up next for the Yankees, Cam Schultz will get the start in tonight's middle game game against Jacob deGrom. First pitch from Arlington is scheduled for 8:05 p.m. Also tonight, the Mets still open a 3-game series at home against the Washington Nationals. First pitch there, 7:10 p.m. Clay Holmes will get the start against Washington's Zach Littell. And head to the hardwood. Look ahead to tonight at 8 p.m. at MSG. The Knicks and the Hawks picking up their Eastern Conference first-round playoff series. It's Game 5. The series knotted at 2 games apiece, and our Knicks are 6.5-point favorites there. Last night on the hardwood, out in Orlando, the Magic beat the Pistons 94-88, so Orlando leads that series 3-1.
What's going on there? I thought the Pistons had a better basketball team.
Everybody in the East scared of the Pistons, and now they're down 3-1.
Yeah, which means they're essentially probably out.
That would really shake up the Eastern Conference part of this playoff, so we shall see, but clearly backs up against the wall for Detroit, the 1 seed there. And out in Phoenix, the Thunder, they wrapped up action against the Suns, sweeping that series 4-0. They win 131-122 last night. They'll play the winner of the Lakers versus Rockets series in the Western Conference semifinals. And on Denver, the Timberwolves beat the Nuggets 113-125 in Game 5 of that series. Minnesota now leading 3-2. That is your Sports Know, man. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time, 5:49. A New Jersey student caused a lockdown yesterday after he brought an air pistol to school. Northern Valley Regional High went into lockdown after one student reported another might have brought a weapon into the building. So the Bergen County Sheriff's Office, the SWAT team, they responded. Local police from Old Tappan also showed up at the scene. They don't take this thing lightly. Police say the student was in possession of this air pistol, taken into custody shortly after the school implemented its safety protocol. But of course, students were panicked. They were texting and phoning their parents. The parents panicked too.
We're always nervous as a parent. I texted him and said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Yes, I'm okay." But it's nerve-wracking as a parent.
Yeah, I'd freak out. The 90-minute lockdown was lifted after a Bergen County Police K-9 unit searched the high school, deemed it was safe. Now they're making counseling services available to students who were upset by what took place yesterday. While we're over in New Jersey, the governor there, Mikey Sherrill, signing an executive order yesterday to come up with a blueprint to create more housing in the Garden State. The governor says the order gives several state agencies across her administration 60 days to report back with new ideas to speed up housing production.
I often say I'm a mom and I want my kids to move back to our state, but not in my basement. So it's simple. We have to make it easier to build more homes to boost supply and bring prices down.
It's a huge problem all across the tri-state. Part of the order creates a housing governing council that will compile the input into a detailed plan that will consider financing, construction, and using land that's available, which is not a lot in New Jersey, and properties to bring down prices to convince people that they can stay in New Jersey.
I don't want a 10-year study or a strongly worded letter. That's why we're putting these deadlines in, to be the state that moves most aggressively and most quickly in ideas for building out the housing.
Yeah, that housing is desperately needed right now. 5:52, let's go out to Long Island, where the LIRR bargaining session that was scheduled for yesterday between the MTA labor union representatives before the National Mediation Board was postponed for some reason. We don't know why. But Gary Bringman, the chairman of the LIRR Commuters Council, was at a committee meeting, and he says the new dates for the talks haven't been determined. Now that we're getting really much closer to the strike deadline in May. So the LIRR MTA continuing to review and modify contingency plans in the event of a strike. So here's the issue. It's money and health benefits. MTA management has offered what it considers a fair contract, but unions are still pushing for a 14.5% pay raise over 4 years, something they say the MTA has enough money for. But the MTA pushing back, saying, guess who has to pay for this if we give you raises? It's the commuters. They don't want to raise fares.
We're talking about a fourth year that is outside the bargaining, that they're asking for a steep price.
And the question I have is, and I posed this the other day, is who's going to pay for it? The taxpayers and the riders. That's who's going to pay for it.
The MTA is offering 12.5% over 4 years, plus an extra 1.5% in exchange for concessions on certain work rules. So far, the two sides seem to be pretty far apart. I mean, they can't even get together to meet with a mediator. So the deadline to reach a deal before these workers would walk off the job is May 16th. 5:53. Let's go over to Brooklyn, where dog owners in Windsor Terrace freaking out after discovering unusual bright green circular pellets appearing along sidewalks and in bushes in one section of that neighborhood. Well, somebody looked at it and they said, wait a minute, I think this is rodent pills to bring down the rodent population, some form of poison. And sure enough, that's what it was. So they started warning all the other dog owners that this is out there. Keep your dog away.
It's my first time actually seeing that out. I've never seen it before. You have to be hyper cautious anyway because dogs are impulsive, but certainly was something that could be that harmful.
Yeah, so they were trying to figure out who would put out rat poison where dogs could chow down on it. It took a little while, but they did figure it out.
Now I'll know to kind of avoid that area.
My top concern for my dog, I think most people would agree that we don't want rats on our street, but, at what cost, right?
Yeah, and then they figured out it was just one of the homeowners who was spreading it for some reason, not just outside her home, but apparently other places as well. And she did come out, to her credit, yesterday after she was told that these dog owners were worried, and she swept up all of those pellets. The third suspect in the 2020 murder of Run DMC's Jam Master Jay pleading guilty.
Jay Bryant pleaded guilty Monday in a New York City courtroom, telling the judge he helped others get into the DJ's Queen's music studio so they could ambush him. It was over a drug deal gone south. Bryant was set to go on trial this year on federal drug conspiracy charges tied to the killing of Jam Master Jay, real name Jason Mizell. Bryant didn't say who killed Mizell, but in 2024, two other men were convicted, Carl Jordan Jr. and Ronald Washington. Jordan's murder conviction was overturned last year. I'm Sarah Lee Kessler.
Some communities in New York and New Jersey are among the nation's 25 most expensive places to buy a home.
Well, more than 60% of towns are located in California, according to the latest data from Zillow as of March. Sagaponack, Watermill, and Bridgehampton on Long Island, along with Deal, New Jersey, and Monmouth County are all included in the list. Sagaponack is second on the list behind Atherton, California, with homes on average in the wealthy Long Island Village exceeding $6.4 million. In the only New Jersey community that made the priciest zip codes in the U.S., average home prices in Deal go for more than $4.2 million. I'm Jennifer Bolsoni.
Let's end the hour with a story out of Brooklyn College, where graduating seniors very upset after learning they will not be able to walk across the stage during their commencement ceremony on May 28th, which is being held at the Barclays Center. So there's 4,000 students. Have you ever sat through a graduation with that many students? It takes a long time to get them across the stage. So they decided what they're going to do is just have the students stand up and they'll say, "You're graduated," and that'll be it. But students want that moment. They want the picture. The parents want that moment of their kid walking across the stage.
I mean, it just shows how administration has very little care about their students. I think that they should definitely cancel or cut down on the speeches to be able to let the students walk. I think the students are what graduation is centered on and what it's about.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear those speeches anyway. They're boring. So maybe it just makes sense to just have a graduation, have everybody come across the stage. So there's a petition out now to get Brooklyn College to change its mind.
Not being able to walk across the stage, it's so heartbreaking, and it's also it feels disrespectful to be able to see my accomplishments not being highlighted.
At this point, I'm just over it. I'm going to enjoy my day. It's about me. I've gotten this far.
Yeah, so thousands of students have signed that petition begging the school to change its mind.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?